Welcome back, Mando.
Oh, greetings, Bucketheads. Mayvar Tigar. Welcome to our 332nd Inside the Inside Man episode of Mandovision. And I am your host, Nargai Tom. Thank you so much for checking out our small independent Star Wars podcast. We are so glad you're here. Reach out to us on those socials at Mando_Vision on Twitter /X and Instagram. Mandovision at Blue Sky, and you can email the show, mandovisiontom@gmail.com. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow, and share the show with all the Mandalorians in your covert. Ooh. Hit the little button there. Sorry. All right, Bucketheads. Hey, listen. For the first time in a while, we are recording with me back at home in the Mandovision studio and the Mandovision cave. I don't know what I call this area where I record. I should come up with something more formal. And once I have it up to snuff, maybe then we bring the video portion of the show online finally, but I feel like that is something that's a 2026 problem, and not something that we're going to be dealing with here in the remainder of the year, because we've reached that portion of the year where it's just everything just goes really fast as we begin to kick off the holidays with Halloween and Thanksgiving and Christmas, Hanukkah, all the stuff, all the holidays. And we are going to continue with our Star Wars Rebels rewatch. The Andor reevaluation of Season 2 is forthcoming. I think we're getting to a good spot in my schedule where I'll be able to sit down and focus on those with the critical eye and the attention to detail that I want. So we'll get to revisit those in a little while. As prescient as always, every day that we move forward in the world, it seems like the world of Andor comes a little bit closer into reality. But we're not here for that today. So let's go ahead and talk about all the fun of Star Wars Rebels this week, because we have a good one for you today. This is a big episode, lots of revelations, lots of Thrawn, and an episode that kind of helps set the stage for a lot of things to come in the rest of Season 3. All right, this is Star Wars Rebels, An Inside Man. Original air date December 3rd, 2016. 2016? Yeah, that sounds right. Our plot for this episode: Ezra and Kanan infiltrate an Imperial factory on Lothal to investigate the production of a new weapon. With the help of Ryder, they have to trust an enemy to escape a lockdown. Ooh, who could it be? Who could it be? Our primary cast for this week's episode, it is... Oh, you know what? Hang on a second. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. You know, I like to give the writer and the director the credit they deserve before we get into the cast. So, directed by Stuart Lee, written by Nicole Dubik, and of course, Stephen Melchin involved as our story editor. Our primary cast for this week, you know him, you love him. Taylor Gray is Ezra Bridger. Vanessa Marshall is Harrison Dula. Freddie Prinze Jr. is Kanan Jarrus. Tia Sakar is Sabine Wren. Steve Blum as Zeb Aurelios. Dave Filoni is Chopper. David Oelio is Agent Callus. Clancy Brown is Ryder. Mary Elizabeth McGlynn is Governor Price. Lars Mikkelsen is Grand Admiral Thrawn. Liam O'Brien is Lieutenant List. D. Bradley Baker's everybody else. And David Accords in this episode as well as a Imperial male PA. So there you go. Exciting stuff. So let's go ahead. Let's get into it. Another reminder, in case you missed it, in case it somehow slipped through your feed, last week we did get a little bonus, Bantha Tracks bonus show out talking about the trailer for The Mandalorian and Grogu and for Star Wars Visions Volume 3. So make sure you've checked those out. Otherwise, let's go ahead, get into this episode. You know what that means, friends. It is time. Strap on your buckets. And let's go.
Get out of here. We'll hold them off. You're going to have to relocate the covert. This is the way. This is the way.
So the episode opens with Kanan and Ezra back on Lothal. They're there to check in with Ryder and see what's going on with the state of rebellion on Lothal. And I think one of the big things with this episode that we want to pay attention to, what we need to be focusing on is sort of the way that every time we go back to Lothal now, it's been gradual over time, over these 3 seasons. But we see Lothal just becoming more and more of an Imperial planet, right? Like far more Imperial structures in place, far more. I don't want to say like industrialization necessarily, but I think that word does work to describe what's happening to the planet. It is becoming more industrialized. It is producing, is now a factory for Imperial manufacture. And, remember, Lothal was an agricultural world when we first opened the show back in season 1. And so this sort of progress for Lothal is really shocking. And obviously Ezra is very keen to point that out. As he sees what's becoming of his home planet. And remember, Lothal is why he got involved with the rebels and Phoenix Squadron in the first place, was to protect his home, to save his home from the Empire. And while he's making those strides and while he's growing and learning how to better to fight the Empire, Lothal is suffering in its quest to just be left alone, right? But the other side of the coin is riders on the planet now all the time. Again, Phoenix Squadron is too hot. They can't stay on Lothal. There'll be another Imperial blockade, and the people there will suffer. So Ryder is doing a good job of gathering some forces, getting some rebellion going. And they have infiltrated the Imperial factory on Lothal and done so to the extent that Imperial machinery now is breaking down at an alarming rate. The speeder bikes that are being manufactured on Lothal, they can't go past 100. What was it? 119, 120, something like that. And they overheat and they explode. And all this subpar manufacturing though comes with a price, because Governor Price has become aware of this and has brought her good pal, Grand Admiral Thrawn, to Lothal. And we are made aware that Thrawn has got a little pet project of his own that he'd like to see come to fruition here on Lothal with the relationship he's forged with Governor Price. The Imperial facility on Lothal can produce his secret project, which we will find out later is actually the TIE Defender, originally introduced in the TIE Fighter video game from way back in the 90s. So super fun callback there. But this sets up a lot of stuff. If you want to go deeper onto Thrawn and his role in the Empire at the time, at this particular period of time, right? Like they really get into this in the Timothy Zahn books, and then in the New Era Timothy Zahn books, they cover a lot of the relationship between Thrawn and Price and getting these TIE Defenders off the ground, getting this program going, and how it runs up against a certain top secret military project that is drawing a lot of the Imperial budget towards itself. So Thrawn's asking for a little piece of the pie to get his TIE Defenders going, because he thinks this is like the best advantage that he can give the Imperials in their fight against the rebels and the threats of the unknown regions, is a more advanced weapon-wise and defense-wise, because the big thing with the TIE Defender is, of course, it has shields. So it's a big development for everything that we have ever thought about TIE fighters, right? That they're mass-produced, they're cheap, they don't have shield generators, they don't care about the lives of their pilots, all these sort of things that we have been sort of intrinsically aware of for so many years as fans of Star Wars. And the TIE Defender's there to upset the apple cart, right? Which was, hey, when you played the TIE Fighter video game on your PC, back in the 90s, trust me, you were stoked when you got to that TIE Defender and you finally got some shields. Because, running around in a lot of Imperial fighter craft without shields, whoo, that made for a rough game. It was not a lot of fun. You couldn't take a lot of hits before you were out of commission. So, yeah, think about that strategically speaking. I'm not saying that the TIE Defender would be the be-all, end-all for TIE fighters and would bring the rebellion crashing to its knees, but it's going to definitely favor the Empire now. Like to actually be able to have many pilots who can survive combat against the rebels and make the rebels with their limited fleet have to work that much harder to destroy ties. I mean, that is a pretty big advantage. Obviously, we don't want to get into the whole Thrawn versus Tarkin situation. We all know how that plays out. The Death Star was getting its money. The Emperor wanted the Death Star to get its money. So that's what it was. That's what it is, and that's how it rolls. But that's sort of our progression for this episode. That's sort of like the end. The big piece of information we get at the end of the episode is that Thrawn is developing a new, more dangerous, more deadly TIE fighter that will certainly be of trouble for the rebellion. But let's go back. All right, let's get back into the episode. Ryder's being pursued by the Imperials. They notice him now. Kanan and Ezra help him escape. They go back to Ryder's base, where we find that the rebellion is sort of growing. Right, this is where we learn that they've infiltrated more of the factories, and they think it sounds like a really great plan. But as we said, the Empire is very aware of these things too. Thrawn is a guy who is detail oriented, and is not going to overlook these kind of things. So when he shows up at the factory the next day, when Ezra and Kanan go there, it is of course somewhat alarming, as Thrawn makes one of the technicians who stands by his work demonstrate the top speed of a speeder bike, and then they watch it explode and kill the guy. A little callous. This is one of those elements where you can sort of compare Expanded Universe Thrawn versus the new canon Thrawn and see some differences, because Thrawn didn't throw away lives idly in the old canon. And while I suspect he's sending a message this time around, I don't know. I don't want to be one of the fans who's like, the Disney canon's trash and I don't care for it. But there are subtle changes to Thrawn that we have to acknowledge. And again, this episode though also embraces a lot of the things that make Thrawn great. We've seen him, the way he studies the art of his enemies, and he has an office here on Lothal where he's doing just that. He's looking at pictures of Ezra from his childhood. He is looking at graffiti of the Phoenix, of the Loth cat. He has Mandalorian art in the room. He has pictures of Sham Syndulla and Hera Syndulla when she was a child. He is studying the art of all of his enemies, of everything that he knows about who he's up against. I assume there's Lasat art in there. I assume he's studying more on Chopper. He's getting to know his enemies. He has on his desk, he has the helmet of one of the Jedi sentries, right? So that element of Thrawn is still in play. And while I don't know if they use it as coolly effective as the originally done back in the 90s, when Thrawn was kind of big pimpin', it's still nice to see that element of his character does exist. The other big thing we have to keep in mind with this episode is, of course, Fulcrum, right? That's what has brought Ezra and Kanan to Lothal. Another tip from Fulcrum that something's going on at this base, so they need to see what's up. They want to check it all out, see what's the happenings. And of course, the big reveal here is that Kallus is Fulcrum. They don't really know if they can trust him just yet, or if this is part of some Imperial sting operation, because again, they've been going up against Kallus for quite some time now. So the idea that he is Fulcrum and he is aiding them is something of a shocking revelation. Now, again, we have seen something of a change from Kallus since his incident with Zeb on the ice planet. Sort of Kallus witnessing the camaraderie, the closeness of Phoenix Squadron compared to the cold isolation of the Imperial officers. When Kallus returns, no one talks to him. No one makes sure he's okay. He just goes back to his cold, lonely quarters, and there I assume he reassesses his life. And we find out again in that ice episode, we found out that the incident on Lasan did not go according to what he thought the intentions were. So to think that Kallus doesn't have a chink in his armor that could be exploited by some warmth and affection and camaraderie is it's there. The potential is there. It does seem a little out of the blue for him to be Fulcrum. It does seem a little out of character, out of place. when we look back at season 1 and the sort of relish with which he pursued the rebels. But again, a lot may have changed with the honorable ones in that episode, where he is with Zeb and they are forced to work together to survive. So I believe that sort of sets the stage for a lot of things, right? And of course, Thrawn heavily involved here, and Thrawn very quickly deduces that as these rebels make their way through the base, they are being aided by somebody, right? So now the Empire is aware that there is a mole in their operation, and they want to suss out said mole and find it. So a lot of things happen in the episode. A lot of things, the escape from the base is very exciting. The role Chopper plays in it. Like, again, there's a lot of good, detail stuff in the episode, like a lot of fun elements of the escape. The way Ezra throws Callus around to sort of make their escape believable. There's a lot of fun in the sequences, right? But of course, it's another episode where they get the upper hand on Thrawn. And so I know the hardcore Thrawn fans don't like the sort of game where, Thrawn will just take loss after loss after loss as long as he can get the big win, because that sort of seems to be the game that he's playing here. Is he's like let's give these little small victories, because we're gonna learn their tactics, we're gonna learn the way they think, we're gonna learn everything about them, and then when they try to pull their next big move, they have a little bit of hubris on their side, and then that's when we swoop in there and we get them. But for now, it's just sort of another loss. Another little L for Thrawn to take. And again, this is sort of his MO. He'll lose the battles to win the war. But I don't know if we do a really great job of building Thrawn into this great threat just yet. That does come if memory serves. We'll find out soon. But early on, there's nothing super impressive about what Thrawn's doing just yet. You kind of get the feeling that he's doing something, that there are things he's working towards and things that he's building on, but we're not there yet. So we have to kind of wait with bated breath and anticipation for the Thrawn that we all know and love to swoop in and be the general BA that he can be. So that, in a nutshell, is the episode. Our heroes infiltrate a base. Thrawn locks down the base. Fulcrum reveals himself to be Callus. Aids Kanan and Ezra in escaping from the base. Chopper does some cool stuff too. There's an AT-AT scene. Again, there's really good stuff in this. I mean, it is a really fun episode. I know I'm sort of downplaying a lot of the action just to kind of hit those main story beats. But yeah, watch this one. It is good. It is fun. Again, I like the guys in the AT-AT. There's great stuff in the episode. But yes, of course, the heroes get away with the coded information that they from the terminal they accessed with Chopper's help, and they now have the plans for the TIE Defender. And that's sort of like the big reveal at the end. They got this new TIE fighter, and it's going to be a big deal. Well, yeah, okay, cool. But again, it's another one of those elements. We've seen Return of the Jedi. We know that there is no TIE Defender defending the Death Star. So we know the TIE Defender program ultimately will be a failure, which is disappointing. You kind of want to build these things up into something that's going to pay out better. But this is sort of the problem that you often encounter when you have prequels and things like this. Where you're just none of this stuff's going to pan out because we already know how it ends, and again, we'll talk about this because the Defender is a big element of the show moving forward. So we'll get a chance to talk more about the TIE Defender and this program, it going up against the Death Star program, and again, things for us to talk about down the road. I give the episode 8 buckets. I do think it's really solid, really entertaining, and a lot of fun. Emotionally speaking, I think the biggest element is for Ezra going back and seeing Lothal. And the way it is kind of continuing to grow and process into this kind of vital Imperial world, which is the last thing he wants to see. So very unfortunate in that front. But for us as viewers, it's a lot of nice visual continuity as the planet kind of continues to become more and more a part of the Imperial war machine. Right, Governor Price is helping drive that into fruition, making that happen, because that's what she wants. She wants to be part of a vital, important Imperial world. And so making Lothal a vital Imperial manufacturing center is part of that plan. And now that Thrawn is there and he wants to hold his TIE Defender program there, we're helping Price bring all this stuff to life. So it's a nice visual continuity for us from season 1 to season 3, and how the war machine of the Empire continues to grow. So good stuff in the episode. I do recommend it. Check it out. 8 buckets. And we're going to get out of here because, hey, we got another episode to do next week, and we got episodes to watch, and we'll be watching for the news. And I do want to kind of have like a little bit of a complaint session right now. While I was away, while you're listening to the episodes that I pre-recorded, I had a chance to read a lot of the kind of current Marvel comics and see what was going on in the books. And, you know, I've read them sporadically as they come out. You know, I never sat down and read them in a big bunch. And I got to do that this time. All the different titles, you know, whether it was Kylo or the Jedi Knights or the main Star Wars book. The new Han and Chewie book is out now. Checking out the new Afra series. And I have to say, like, I'm honestly fairly bored with the Star Wars comics currently. They are I don't know. Kylo is of interest, but it's not driving the ship for me. It is the best of the bunch, but the main Star Wars book is not good at all, and I find that to be somewhat frustrating. So I don't know. I guess I just want more out of these Star Wars comics. I feel like they just don't know what they're doing right now in a post-Return of the Jedi galaxy. Because I don't know if they're just scared or if there's some sort of limitations on what they can do because of the Mandalorian and the Mandalorian Grogu. I don't really know for sure. But if there's something that I'm missing in these comics, if you guys are finding something that you're enjoying, by all means, you know how to hit me up. You know where to find me on the socials at Mando_Vision, Twitter/X and Insta, Mandovision at Blue Sky. Email the show, mandovisiontom@gmail.com. I thank you guys so much for being part of Buckethead Nation, coming back every single week, supporting the show, being so amazingly awesome. You all are the best. Buckethead Nation continues to grow and thrive, and we continue to provide content. And I hope an evolution of the show is coming. It's been in the cards for a while. It's just kind of like bringing it to fruition. It's kind of manifesting it into reality. So again, thank you guys for the continued support. We will be here for you always and forever, just like the song says. and with that, go out there, be a great Star Wars fan, kind, supportive, understanding, respectful, embracing of free speech. And we'll be back next week, Bucketheads. But until then, remember, this podcast, it can only end one way. This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way. This is the way.
Bounty hunting is a complicated profession.